Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. And boy, do I have a surprise video for you guys that almost did not get made. You know, ever since I started this channel, there's been people that have been reaching out saying, Sean, you need to do core finance videos. This is your specialty. You really need to do more videos like this on your channel for the people that watch your channel, as well as a lot of the other hype-driven channels out there, especially in the collectible finance space. And for the longest time, I have been dead set against doing this type of content because when you look at the demographics of my channel, there's a lot of people that watch this channel that are like me. They're financially established and they're already educated in economics, business, and finance. Well, as time went on, as I started to release more and more videos, I got comments from certain individuals and I got emails from certain people, and it told me that a lot of the people out there are really lost when it comes to basic finance, when it comes to basic economics, when it comes to just business theory in general. Not only in the antiques and collectibles trade, but just in general. So I thought for a little bit, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start putting into production some very basic finance, business, economic videos that just teach the basics of these core principles that a lot of us talk about on a lot of these collecting channels, whether we're for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, comic books, rare coins, video games, whatever it is. You may come across some of these core concepts. So I want to start teaching it at the most basic level so that people can at least watch a video of mine and they can get something out of it. So I want to apologize up front because this video may be basic for some of you out there. Others of you, you may thank me for this. You may hate me for this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below so I know, do I create more videos like this or do I create less? So without further ado, you need to understand that normally we talk about killer stuff and tons of money on this particular YouTube channel. For those that don't know who I am a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade. I have been operating in the antiques and collectibles trade since the ripe old age of 12. I'm now 45, spoiler alert. And I'm also educated in business economics and finance. Normally, I would be talking about awesome killer stuff on this channel on a regular basis. But today, we're just going to be talking about tons of money and how you yourself can potentially get to having tons of money. So in this video, this is Finance 101. And what I aim to do is I aim to take any of the Lil'Timmies out there that are watching this video, and I'm going to turn them into Giga-Chads, financially speaking, just with this one core concept. If you understand this one core concept that I'm going to introduce today, and you watch this video from beginning to end, you fully understand it, I assure you, there should be a light bulb that goes off in your head, and you're going to finally realize, oh, I get it. That's why Sean's telling me I can't put all my money in comic books or rare coins or video games or Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering. That's why he's telling me to invest in traditional financial assets, preferably index-based funds, stock market-based mutual funds, and the like. So what we are going to start with is a definition of the Rule of 72. For those of you that do not know what the Rule of 72 is, it is one of the most simplest, basic economic theories or financial theories out there that you will study if you take a simple finance class at any community college, or even if you're lucky enough to go to Harvard, Yale, wherever. You will cover to a certain degree the Rule of 72, because this really causes the discussion to commence when we talk about finance and financial theory. So the best definition of the Rule of 72 I could find is on the webpage known as Investopedia. If you go to www.investopedia.com, they have a plethora of financial theory and definitions and topics that they discuss. You can read through it. You can get yourself an education on a lot of different topics that affect finance. In this case, we're going to focus on the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72, according to Investopedia, is a simple way to determine how long an investment will take to double given a fixed annual rate of interest. By dividing 72 by the annual rate of return, investors obtain a rough estimate, notice it's not exact, of how many years it will take for the initial investment to duplicate itself. Now, to be fair, let's talk about this in the strictest sense, because we're going to be discussing it in abstract. I want to talk to you first about the strictest sense. Let's say that you have an investment that is guaranteed, no matter what, to pay you 3% per year. It is some type of guaranteed bond, maybe certificate of deposit, though in this day and age, obviously, with where interest rates are right now at the recording this video, you're probably not going to get 3% on a certificate of deposit. But let's just say that you have a guaranteed 3% return. All you need to do is take that 3%, divide it into 72, and you will get how many years it's going to take for that investment to double. It's very basic at that level. Well, we here at Reserved Investments, we like to talk about stock market investing. We like to talk about investing in index-based mutual funds. So this is where it's going to get a little bit abstract. So you got to stay with me here, guys, so that I can explain this. If we would go back, if we would get in our DeLorean time machine and we go back 30 years, that's 1992. I think everybody can understand I'm recording this video in 2022. If we go back 30 years, that is 1992. Well, the average stock market return over the last 30 years, meaning from 1992 to 2022, you can research this, has been roughly 10.72%. Now, I want to make sure that you understand this concept because it's very important. That does not mean if you would have invested for 1 year during that time frame, you would have been guaranteed to receive 10.72%. This is something that a lot of people do not understand. What that means is, if you go back 30 years, you take the good, the bad, and everything in between, and you average it, you will have an average return of 10.72% per year. You have to remember, guys, for those of you that study history, for those of you that are as old as I am, the world in 1992 was a lot different than where it is today in 2022. Just let me state this. eBay was not invented yet back in 1992. You didn't have social media, didn't have YouTube, didn't have PayPal. No online auction companies existed because the whole internet back in 1992 was very different than what it is today. You didn't even have Amazon back in 1992. Just want to make that very clear. Now, where am I going with this? Well, if you start and you look at what transpired from 1992 to 2022, you're going to see there were a lot of crises that occurred in that time. We had the rise of dot-com stocks. We had the crash of the dot-com era. We had a recession. Then we had the great financial crisis of 2008, 2009. Then we had several wars splattered throughout. Then we had the terrorist attacks, 9/11, if you remember that particular time frame. You had the corona crash. All these different things happened in that 30-year span. So guess what? Spoiler alert. If you would be reading this and in 2008, you decided, or 2007, you decided to put 100 grand in an average stock market fund, an index fund, a total stock market index fund, you would have not made 10.72% just by keeping it in that fund for 1 year. Obviously, the stock market dropped in 2008, almost 50% in certain cases. So you would have lost a significant amount of your money if you would have only kept it in that fund for 1 year. Now, this is something that you guys need to understand. Researchers, economic historians, when they go back and they study the stock market, I can tell you this with confidence. If you invest in an index-based mutual fund and it mirrors like the total stock market in indexes or mirrors the S&P 500, they've done studies where if you hold your money in that fund for 20 years or more, you are almost 100% guaranteed to make money. Meaning if you go back and you look at the origins of the stock market, even if you look at the origins of the first index fund, which came about in the 1970s, pioneered by Jack Bogle of Vanguard fame. Those of you that, like me, you like Vanguard, the mutual fund company, well, they pioneered the index fund back in the 1970s. Through any 20-year period that people invested in an index fund, they've always made money. Even if you would have invested in it literally 20 years before the great crash of 2008, 2009, you still would have made money because the gains were that massive in the time frame before that run up to the crash. So what I'm saying to you is, if you study economics, if you study finance, you will see that almost everybody who owned an index-based mutual fund, whether it's tied to the total stock market, whether it's tied to the S&P 500 index fund, if they held that fund for more than 20 years, they made money. Now, this is important because I know there's going to be Timmys, Kimmies, and Poindexters in the comment section below that can't wrap their head around the fact that the average stock market return over the last 30 years was 10.72%. A lot of them, they're going to log online and they're going to look up 2008, 2009, or the Corona crash. They're going to look up some event and they're going to go, Sean, you don't understand. In that year alone, the market dropped 30, 40, 50%. This is an average return spread out over 30 years. It's very important because we're talking abstract now. Now, if you take, let's round this down. I don't want to use 11% here. That's unfair because the return is 10.72%. So let's round this off right to a nice even 10%. If we divide 10% into 72, you're going to get 7.2. Do you know what that means, guys? That means based on this average stock market return, every 7.2 years on average, your money, if you are getting at least the average stock market return, will double. Now, this is the beauty of it. What is it that I guys always tell you on this channel? In order to become financially established, you need to get $100,000 as quick as you can into any type of index-based mutual fund. You can take your pick. It can be an S&P 500 index fund. It could be a total stock market index fund. Why is it that I tell you that? Because if the average market return is roughly 10% and it's going to double every 7.2 years, guess what? This is the easiest way to build wealth passively. You have no inventory. You don't do anything. You simply let your money compound. You let it sit there, and over time, it grows. Now, let me explain why this is a beautiful thing. Let's suppose that you right now are watching this video. You have 100 grand, and you go to the market. You call up Vanguard, Charles Schwab, T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, whoever, and you say, hey, I want to put $100,000 in a total stock market index fund or an ETF or some other investment instrument that mirrors that index. Well, if this holds to be true over the next 30 years, guess what? On average, every 7.2 years, you are going to double that money. So let's say that you're 30 years of age. You have 100 grand and you do this. This works out for you. And at 37 years of age, you doubled your money. Now you have $200,000 sitting in there. Well, you keep going, right? You don't have to do anything. Another 7 years, guess what? Now you have $400,000 sitting in there. Now you're not doing anything. You're not even adding any more money to the initial principal. Meaning all you did was start with $100,000. You didn't add another dime to it. It just keeps compounding and rolling over. Now in another 7 years, you have $400,000, then $800,000. Then you get to $1.6 million, guys. Is anybody here going to argue that within a 28-year period, going from $100,000 to $1.6 million, that isn't a good investment return? Because if you divide that out, you're going to hit that average stock market return, guys. That's how finance works. That's how you build money passively. And for those of you that keep telling me cryptocurrency, comic books, rare coins, great video games, guess what? You have no chance of getting robbed. You're not going to get scammed. You don't have to ship any items out. All you have to do is literally go about your life and let your money compound. And I assure you, literally, if you keep your money in a total stock market index fund, in an S&P 500 index fund, I'm going to use the G word. The G word's guaranteed. I'm going to tell you, over a 20, 30, or 40-year period, I assure you, I'm not going to promise you that you're going to get $1.6 million out of it, but I'm going to tell you that you will make money. Now, full disclosure, please, before you do anything stupid, based on what somebody told you in a YouTube video who is filming this at 1 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, with a 50-cent piece of white poster board that was bought at Dollar Tree with a $1 marker, please feel free to do your own homework. Please feel free to seek out the services of a licensed financial advisor, not somebody sitting here with his hair a mess at 1 o'clock in the morning. And you will understand that once you understand all this, you're going to turn yourself into a Giga-Chad. You're going to be unstoppable, and you're also going to learn that, hey, you know what? That Sean guy, Reserved Investments, that crazy guy that keeps coming out of his closet at 1 o'clock in the morning to film these videos, he's actually on to something. I really understand now some of the points that he's making as to why it is completely stupid for me to speculate on modern era mass-produced video games or Lego sets or any of this other stuff when I can just take 100 grand, I could put it in a total stock market index fund and just let it compound for the next 20 or 30 years. Now, to be fair, if you are already doing that, meaning maybe you don't have $100,000, but maybe every year you're putting $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 into the overall S&P 500 or a total stock market index fund or even a well-diversified portfolio, by all means, come over, talk to me, and let's talk about killer stuff and tons of money. Because now you're on your way to becoming financially established. Or how about this? Maybe you already have 100 grand. It's invested, you're forgetting about it, you're just going about your life, and now you want to start investing in rare coins. Or heaven forbid, you want to take a chance and you want to buy a factory sealed copy of Metroid for the Nintendo Entertainment System that was released in 1987, graded by WADA in 9.4 condition. As long as you have the money, you're not touching that 100 grand, by all means, do you. I have no problem then. If you want to come into my comment section and you want to say, hey, Sean, I'm on my way to becoming financially established. I'm already financially established. Can we have a serious discussion about Rolex or up-and-coming fads and trends in the antiques and collectibles trade? I'm going to say to you, yeah, you understand basic finance. You're on your way to becoming a Giga-Chad, and you understand the rule of 72, and you understand what the stock market has done the last 30 years. And before I sign off on this video, there's something else that we got to talk about. I just know someone's going to come in the comment section and go, Sean, the next 30 years are so uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. We're a politically divided nation. Economically, there's all types of strife. The U.S. government has $32 trillion worth of debt. It's all going to go to zero. If you are of that mindset, I'm here to tell you, my friend, they were saying that back in 1992. Though they didn't say 32 trillion. I will admit that. But they were talking like that back in 1992. How did life end up for those people back in 1992 that were fearing the New World Order, Bill Clinton, the Illuminati? How did life end up for those of the people back in 1992 who says, I'm not going to invest in the stock market. The stock market's rigged. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 30 years. Well, I can tell you, we already know how those people ended up. They are the angry, bitter conspiracy theorists that either come into my comment section or watch YouTube and start screaming about things they don't know anything about. Or I hate to say this, they're stuck on Social Security right now with not a prayer in hell to get financially solvent ever in their life. Please, if you are my age, if you are younger than me right now watching this video, I don't care what path you choose. Please do not be complacent in your financial life. Each one of you out there, and I'm a liberal progressive, and I'm telling you this. Each one of you out there, I don't care if you're right wing, I don't care if you're moderate, I don't care if you're like me, a liberal progressive, I don't care if you're a moderate Democrat, for crying out loud. Each one of you out there, in most cases, barring any type of tremendous illness, barring any type of disability, almost all of you out there watching this video can easily go from being a little Timmy to a Giga-Chad, financially speaking. That's all I'm asking you to do, is have an open mind and understand how this proverbial shit works. And I assure you, you can easily set yourself up for life so that you too can start to talk about and own killer stuff and tons of money. Thank you for watching and have a great night.